What is up, Waffle Gang? My name is Mark, and today we're covering some r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And just a huge thank you for each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to be here. Yesterday on YouTube, we hit 200 members. We had two members on there, which was GamerGal92 and Nova Brilliant. Nova is a long-time member, so thank you so much for joining us. It really does mean the world to me. And over on Patreon, we had Skyline Pigeon join us. Your support is absolutely phenomenal, and there's no way I could ever thank you enough for what you do for me. So thank you so much. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a random bunch of numbers. Am I the arsehole for telling my entire family to leave when they berated me for paying for my friend's son's surgery? I, 37 male, had experienced 2 losses in a short period of time. I lost both my daughters, bio 9 and adopted 14. Both suffered from chronic conditions. I was a single dad dealing with so much. Soon as my eldest passed away, my youngest got sick in the same year. I had no time to grieve. I found myself driving to hospital again, talking to doctors again. It was a difficult time. My youngest passed away a year later in 2018. My family started talking about how I needed to move on. My brother told me that I can rest now that I'm no longer spending time with doctors and worrying about my daughters and their issues. That hurt me, even if he was trying to comfort me. My mum wanted me to get another chance to have kids, but I ignored her. My dad suggested that I move out of my house, but I told him I was comfortable enough to sleep at my house since he thought I should run from memories. I'd spend most of my time by myself. I met a parent just like me in a group therapy, and we begun talking. He's a struggling dad with a sick child. I met his son Adam, and he's such a sweet soul. They both begun visiting me. Adam reminded me of my daughters. He is 16 and he's smart and empathetic. He's a good cook for his age, and he's cooked for us a lot, and he brought books and would help care for my plants. He's at the hospital now. His dad and I spoke about the surgery he needed. Their need for money. I decided to help out by using my youngest daughter's emergency fund to pay for surgery. This is a gift from my daughters to Adam. He couldn't believe it and started crying because they'd been struggling to come up with money for months, and it also affected education. He stopped going to school for a year. I received a card from Adam. It's heartwarming. I haven't told my family, but when they visited me, my brother brought up that he needed money to renovate his house and he has no money. My mum brought up my youngest daughter's emergency fund and asked me if I could help. I told him that I've already given the money to a close friend and paid for his son's surgery. They all stared at me. Then my mum and brother started yelling at me for doing that I was out of my mind to give away the money that was supposed to go to family who's struggling. They brought up how supportive they've been, and I was ungrateful. My brother called me an arsehole for handing people I barely knew money and not my own family. I told them to drop it or leave. They kept berating me and I yelled back at them and told them to leave my house. My dad called me the same night saying I was out of line for treating them like that, and their reaction was understandable. He said I upset my family and doubled down by kicking them out. He wants to talk, but I know him. He has a short temper and will demand I take the money back. As always, we always got to say in these stories, I'm really sorry for your loss. 2 children in such a short space of time. I cannot imagine what would be going through someone's head after that. That's absolutely crazy. And in some ways, I don't want to talk about your family in this story because, you know, they are just all entitled arseholes. House renovations over a child's surgery. What you've done is fantastic and life-changing for that boy. Well done to you. And let's just leave it at that. You're definitely not the arsehole in this situation. You've done a bloody amazing thing. And I don't mean this in a patronizing way whatsoever, but I'm proud of you for doing that. Well done to you. But a note to Cocktail says, my heart broke for you as I read this. I can't even imagine the pain you've endured, and what you've done with your friend and his son is just unbelievably generous and incredible. Your family, I have no words for how awful I think they are. Your money, your choice, not the arsehole. And OP replies to this saying, they're telling me that they go no contact and keep holding this over my head. It really doesn't matter, their problems aren't my problems. Just because we're family does not mean I'm obligated to help. They have been low contact, that's why they didn't know about this till I told them. They were probably counting on me and I disappointed them. And Roxas the Nobody says, not the arsehole, your brother isn't struggling. Renovating a house isn't a necessity. Your friend's son living is. You made the right choice. And Puzzle-Headed Hurry26 says, empathetically, not the arsehole. I get that people grieve in different ways, but your family was being blatantly insensitive long before you gifted Adam and his family this money. The emergency fund was yours to spend how you see fit. If your family had been concerned that Adam's family was taking advantage of you and your grief, I could understand that better, although it wouldn't change my ruling. But it sounds like their only concern is that your brother won't get the money to renovate his house. Even if you just decided to take that money and spend it on a blowout vacation or buy scores of plastic flamingos to display all over your lawn, it still would be none of your family's business and not their decision. Your gift to Adam was incredibly kind and generous, and I applaud you for doing something so positive with the money, even in your grief. I'm so sorry for your losses, and I'm also sorry that your family members are being so selfish. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys to see what you think of this situation. Do you think that the family has any right to this money whatsoever, or not at all? Now, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I thought I'd throw that out there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for my reaction when my 30-year-old fiance exchanged his gift with my 16-year-old brother? I, female 26, have been with my fiance for 3 years. We both work and we both share rent and other expenses. But my fiance is currently looking for a new job. He lost his old job 3 months ago. My family lives 30 minutes away, and although it's been difficult this year, I decided to get my brother, who has a chronic condition and has struggled a lot lately and was in hospital for a few days for anemia, the one thing he's been wanting for some time. I got him an Xbox that cost me $300. He was so happy, and I'm glad I was able to cheer him up during those times. My fiance received a few gifts from his family, but he wasn't happy with any of them. I got him a perfume and he liked it. We were visiting my family and we had dinner with them. My fiance looked at the Xbox I got for my brother and didn't stop talking about it. My parents noticed. I told him to stop complaining about what he got/didn't get this year. That made them uncomfortable, especially since they've been dealing with my brother's health issues and needed to relax. We got home and my fiance took something from the closet and left for about an hour. I was asleep when he came back. In the morning, I was surprised to find my brother's Xbox in the closet. I woke him and asked him about it. Turned out he dropped me off, drove back to my family's house and exchanged a gift his aunt gave him, a $14 fancy pen, with my brother's Xbox. He said that my brother was happy to exchange gifts. I was so mad I told him this wasn't for him and he basically took something that wasn't his. Not to mention a pen for an Xbox, that's ridiculous. He told me that maybe I shouldn't have spent $300 while trying to pay for rent. I told him as long as I can pay rent, that's not a problem, and that he needs to find a job if he thinks that my money isn't enough. I called my mum and found out that they didn't actually exchange gifts. My fiance pressured my brother into giving him his Xbox. I was livid and so mad I told him to take the Xbox back to my brother, but he said it was between him and my brother, but I insisted. He refused, so I ended up taking it myself. My fiance argued when I took it and said that I was pressuring him and treating him poorly and have no respect for his feelings. I told him he was wrong to make my brother give him his gift and cause him stress and ruining his joy. I apologised to my brother and my parents and I felt awful because of how my fiance behaved. My fiance isn't talking to me, saying I have no consideration for his feelings and not understanding how he feels not having money to buy himself the things he likes. I'm surprised because he's never done anything like this before. I get that he's struggling finding a job, but that is not an excuse. Again, it's one of these ones where I tried to get into the person's mindset of like them trying to go round and take the Xbox and trade it for a pen. I'm trying to picture that scenario and I just can't imagine it. Who does that kind of crazy shit, right? And I know with like lockdowns and lack of jobs and things, people behave weirdly, but this is just, this is crazy stuff we're talking about here. I would even go as far as saying, you may want to reconsider your marriage to this guy if this is the way he's going to start behaving, right? But let's have a look at some of the comments to see what they say. Cassidy says, not the arsehole. You may want to consider trading in the fiance though. Too true. And Thigh says, info. Why are you with this arsehole? Like, what redeeming qualities does he possess? And OP replies, he's never done anything like this before and I'm shocked. Ever since he lost his job, he's been behaving strangely. And Sierra Cool says, not the arsehole. He practically stole a gift meant for someone who deserved it more than he did. Hope your brother is alright, OP. And OP replies, my brother is okay. I haven't talked to him yet, but we're going to talk about what happened so I can understand what my fiance had told him. Honestly, I feel bad for what he did. I know that my fiance hasn't been himself lately, but he was in the wrong and shouldn't have done this. And Clutter Renegade says, not the arsehole, your fiance is, well, how do I say this delicately? Hyper-focused on his own emotions to the point of ignoring both social norms and other people's boundaries. And Grace Owen 28 says, not the arsehole, I'm really sorry, but your fiance low-key sounds like the worst person ever. Pressuring a chronically ill 16-year-old to exchange his $300 Xbox for a pen is not cool. Definitely not the arsehole. I would consider breaking off the engagement, to be honest. Edit 16, not 13. Sorry. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this scenario? Imagine if your partner came back after they went to your family and exchanged gifts for something they want. How could you deal with that? What way is there apart from breaking it off? It just seems too weird to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for being upset about my lack of Christmas gifts? I, 17 male, wanted a PS5. I repeatedly told my parents I wanted a PS5. My mum said they were hard to come by and asked what else I'd like. I said nothing. If I couldn't get a PS5, then don't bother with anything else. That's the only thing I wanted. I may have been a little insistent about it. Come Christmas morning, there's nothing for me but my favourite candy and a winter coat. I didn't understand and asked why I only got a candy and a coat. My dad said I told them I didn't want anything else if they couldn't get me a PS5. So they didn't get me anything except the coat because I need it, and my mum added the candy. I got upset and asked why they wouldn't have at least tried to get me something I might want. My dad said because I was becoming a spoiled brat. I disagree, but my dad said obviously I don't hear how I talk to people, that I'm coming across more and more bratty and I'm not owed anything. Lots of people wanted PS5s or Xboxes and a lot of them didn't get it. He said he could understand being mildly disappointed in not getting what I wanted, but the bratty entitled attitude had to stop. I told my dad he was being an arsehole to me and I was just disappointed they didn't get me anything good. He said he didn't care if I was disappointed, he was disappointed in me for how materialistic I was being. When my brother, 20 male, called to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, I told him what happened and he actually laughed and said it sounded like dad was teaching me a lesson and that I must have been acting like a real arsehole for him to do that. I don't see how I'm the arsehole for being disappointed. I didn't get anything for Christmas, but my dad and brother are in agreement that I am the arsehole. My brother suggested I post here. Here we go, guys. It was only a matter of time till the after Christmas posts come into this, right? And people not getting what they wanted, and the level of entitlement in this one post is just obscene. You got exactly what you deserved in this, in my opinion. You asked them to get you nothing, and they actually got you a coat, something you needed, and some candy, so they got you more than what you asked for. Asking for a PS5, you cheeky bastard. But Kitty Cat Meow 1 says, you're the arsehole, your words, don't bother with anything else. You want a PS5, you're old enough to work for it, your dad is right, you come across incredibly entitled and bratty. Jabber in Blue Jeans says, in quotes, I'm angry that my family did exactly what I asked them to. You're the arsehole. An equivalent offer 580 says, you literally told them that if you couldn't have a PS5 you didn't want anything, and they still got you 2 presents. You really do sound like a brat. Grow up. And Miner says, you're the arsehole. I get that you're 17 and that's young, but you literally told your parents there was only one acceptable gift for you, which, let's face it, is a bit spoiled. You then got angry they didn't get you the things you told them you didn't want. Anything, not a PS5, which is also entitled behaviour. The mature way to handle this would have been telling your parents that you'd really like a PS5, even if they couldn't get it until after Christmas, and in the meantime, you would appreciate a gift card for games or anything else they thought you would like. Also, to clarify, you did get Christmas gifts, you just didn't like what you received. Huge difference. And T Finley 97 says, you're the arsehole, I'm more amazed at the fact you typed all this out and didn't sense the entitlement that this post is reeking with. Now put yourself in the parent's shoes in this situation and someone was saying this sort of stuff to you, how would you deal with it? Would you do the same as the dad? Because I think the dad is going to teach him a valuable lesson, one that he really needs to learn very quickly at his age. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling out my dad for not getting my mum a Christmas present in front of the entire family? I, female 16, live with my mum, dad and sisters, 16 and 13. Every year at Christmas, my mum's birthday and Mother's Day, my sisters and grandparents on both sides and I each get my mum a present. My dad doesn't. My mum always gets my dad nice presents though. This year alone, he got a TV for his birthday, a smoker, he loves to barbecue, for Father's Day, and a PS5 for Christmas. She got a flower from our front yard for Mother's Day, and that's it. This year, my dad's parents, brother, sister, and their kids stayed with us for Christmas. When we were opening our presents, I looked over at my mum and I could tell she was disappointed that my dad didn't get her anything again, so I asked my dad what he got her. He got very red and didn't say anything. His dad asked him if he ever gets my mum anything and he answered no. His dad, brother and sister called him an arsehole and asked me, my sisters and my cousins to go to the game room. He stopped me later to tell me it was rude of me to call him out for not getting my mum anything and he hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the arsehole for calling him out? Edit, I forgot to mention that he gets himself a very nice gift for Christmas and his birthday. He bought himself an $800 computer and a new car this year. Update, after dinner he left with his dad and came back with a diamond bracelet for my mum. But even after that update, do you think that's going to change his behaviour? Do you think he's suddenly going to go, oh, I need to start buying her, at least semi-decent gifts, or at least thoughtful gifts, She's buying him all this sort of stuff throughout the year and she's getting nothing in return. And I know it's not just about like the gifts themselves, but it's about the thought, isn't it? That's what it's all about in the end. And I mean, he could have written her a note and said, look, I really appreciate everything you've done over the year and I really value you for what you do for me. And I think that in itself is a lot of thoughts, but he doesn't even do that. He just expects stuff. And yeah, absolutely right to be called out in the end. But Miley30 says, not the arsehole. If he doesn't want the embarrassment of being called out on his arsehole behaviour, he simply needs to stop being an arsehole. And Sneakers6772 says, not the arsehole. If he's buying himself expensive gifts all the time, he can most likely afford to get his wife something nice. And Phil River Street says, not the arsehole. He buys himself a car and can't get his wife as much as a keyring. Besides, it was his family who followed up with a criticism, not you. Now, what would you do in this situation? What would you do if you was in the mum's position? How would you deal with that? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from Taz Ray. Am I the arsehole for being mad my mum told her husband my dad isn't my bio dad? My mum got married 11 months ago. Right before the wedding, I, 16 female, found out my mum had told her husband that I am not my dad's bio daughter. Back when my parents first divorced 5 years ago, I asked her not to tell any future boyfriends or husbands because it's not something we broadcast and it's not something I really want people to know. I also brought it up again when she first met her husband. I also hated people asking about my real dad and stuff. My dad is my dad. He stepped up when I was 7 months and even adopted me when I was 3 after he and my mum married, and he never treated me any different from my siblings who are his bio kids. Then I found out 2 days before their wedding that my mum had told him. He told me and my siblings about him being excited to be our new dad. I said he wasn't going to be our new dad because we already had one. Then he told me if I could accept my dad, he could accept me. Why couldn't I do the same for him and his kids? I asked what he meant and he said it was no different than my dad not being my real dad. I was so mad. My mum told me she couldn't lie to her husband. I told her then, woman up and tell me she wouldn't do the one fucking thing I asked of her. Ever since then, I can't even look at my mum. I barely talk to her. I feel so damn betrayed, and for it to be thrown in my face like that is the very reason I didn't want it revealed. Her husband thinks I'm being such a problem child, and he still believes him marrying my mum when I'm 15 and have a dad is the same as my dad stepping up when I'm 7 months and raising me and adopting me as soon as he could. He thinks my dad isn't my real dad but acts like he could be. They think I'm being a brat for holding this against her and not caring anymore about our relationship. Am I the arsehole? And we're going to head straight to the comments with this one with no difficulty saying, not the arsehole for feeling betrayed. A good father has nothing to do with being bio, it's being there. When you calm down, you might want to explain to new husband that it's not about or against him. He might be a great stepdad, but he won't be your dad, the dad that raised you. I have no suggestion for your mum. I think she should apologise to you for breaking your trust. And Avast says, not the arsehole. The new guy's reaction pretty much sums up why you are right to feel the way you do. There are 3 men who might conceivably claim the title, and only one qualifies. There's your sperm donor, there's the man who raised you from an infant, and then there's this new guy who thinks he can just take possession of you at age 15, like signing the pink slip of a car to a new owner. Parental role by new adults in child's life is earned, not assumed, and the fact that he believes he can just step into those shoes when you already have someone to fill them makes me think like he's going to be really bad at it. I don't think your mum is an arsehole for telling him the whole picture, because as one of the responsible adults in the house, he needs to understand what he's getting into. But she is the arsehole for taking his side for thinking you're being a brat about this. And MBM says, no one's an arsehole here. I understand your feelings because you are super right. This is not the same situation and this man isn't going to be your dad in the same way your dad is. But your mum does need to be honest with her husband and tell him everything if they're going to have a relationship that's healthy. She could have spoken to you first to explain that. You don't have to let this new person be your dad, and he should respect the boundaries you put in place for your relationship with him. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys and see what you think. Do you think the mum was wrong to disclose this information to her new husband? Do you think the new husband is an arsehole for trying to step into the fatherly shoes? Or do you think like the daughter should give this new guy a chance to maybe not replace the fatherly figure, but at least give him a chance to, be part of the family and maybe, work together, But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you have enjoyed today's stories as much as I have, and always a pleasure to have you here as always. Thank you for the support on, YouTube membership, Patreon, coming over to my Twitter and Discord. It really does mean the world to me. I am working on those results for the art competition very, very soon. I'm looking through them. There's tons there, so I need to go through them and really work at it. But thank you once again, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.